This meeting is being recorded.
Good afternoon. I'm glad to have you guys. I wanted to thank you so much for being here for the Grace and Grief. And thank you for those of you who are watching the replay. And thank you for those of you who have entered the questions. And those of you here, please do put into chat any thoughts you have, what your goal is today, what you'd like to get out of today, any questions that you have, any prayers that you're looking for. I want to make sure to give you as much support and make this as individual for you as possible. I myself need to kind of give a little note, I guess, to let you know that I'm also going through grief. And so at times you may notice that I get emotional, and no apologies for our emotions. We can still do life and still give ourselves give ourselves grace in the midst of grief. Help ourselves be in joy, help ourselves be in the experience of life, even if we're dealing with death, or even if we're dealing with loss that feels like death. So I just wanted to emphasize that and kind of give you a little heads up in case it seems like I'm emotional, because I am. All right, cool beans. And I'm also a little tired for the dealing with grief, right? Because grief, lots of crying, make your eyes tired, lots of emoting, you need to make sure you're drinking, getting extra sleep, and sometimes grief can make it the process of grief. There's other processes going on, like moving or shifting or cleaning up things or giving away things, or, there's so many things that could be going on. Plus, there could be other stressors on top of that grief. There could be anxiety, there could be anger, there could be panic, right? There could be traumas, there could be all kinds of other things going on, and the grief itself could be an aspect of trauma. Grief has many levels, and we'll talk about that a little bit today as we're going over some of the questions. And so the first thing I'd like to do is just share with you who I am. My name is TammyStar Workman-Lopez. My company is Sparks Hope, and I am a mindset reset anxiety relief coach, and I work with couples, entrepreneurial couples. I work with business women. I work with small businesses as my specialty. However, I also work with families. I've worked with people who are getting divorces and they stay together. I've worked with people who are wanting to stay together and they find out it's just not a good fit. And how do we separate healthy? How do we make sure everything's healthy for us, for the kids, for our extended families? And we work on that together. So you don't have to do it alone. It's a very lonely experience. So making sure you get support 100%. 100% start there. Get support. Do not do it alone. Of course you can. And that is part of what makes the grieving process often longer. You might feel like everything's fine. You might feel like you're not addressing it. It comes up when it needs to, but it will continue to come up. And you might be like, no, it doesn't come up. I'm perfectly fine. I don't ever even think about it. It'll come up in other ways. If we push stuff away, it's not going away, right? We can pretend, that's what it is. We put it in, put the lid on it, and then say, oh, it's fine. Well, the thing is this is not a seal-proof lid, right? Just like those ones you think are seal-proof and you turn them upside down and the liquid leaks out. It seems seal-proof, but it's not. When life happens and things turn upside down, it's going to leak out. When life happens and you're super excited, doesn't seem like things are upside down, but you are in emotion. Things are going to leak out. If you get into a new situation where there's a new grief, or there's a new experience much like this one, it's going to leak out. It's just how our being is. Our being is not set up to be a container of emotional baggage. It's not set up to shove things away and keep it away. It's set up to flow, right? You eat your food, digest, it goes out. You eat your food again, you digest, it goes out. If it doesn't, your body starts having problems. The same thing is true with any of our emotions. The experience comes in, we have the emotion, it's meant to flow out. The moment you put a lid on it is the moment you start to have it build up, right? Just like if you eat something and you're like, whoa, I'm starting to feel that gas, nothing you can do about it. Even if you take a Tums or whatever, now it's not going to function properly and now you're going to have trouble with it coming out. Or it just might not come out, or it might explode out. But one way or another, right? And so if you think about your emotional experience, much like the digestive experience, it has to go through. We need to digest. And everybody processes different. Sometimes people think they're processing by shutting down, and that's not processing. Sometimes people think they're processing by spitting it out all over everybody. Well, you're processing all right, but now you're creating a whole other problem out there, and it's not a healthy process, right? It doesn't feel good for you or the other people. It might feel good for you, but it's not feeling good for the other people, and it's making a mess. And it's a thing to take a look at, like, hey, is this feeling good for me? If it's feeling good for me, why is it causing all this negative over here? Our results help us to see if we're doing things in a flowing kind of way or if we're doing things in a backed up kind of way. So being able to take a look at all of those things might seem like too much when you're going through grief. I am able to help you to do that. I'm going through grief myself, and there are some things I'm able to help myself do just because I've been practicing these tools my whole life. You may not think so, but I'm 40. The hell old am I? I keep forgetting. I'm 48. I still can't believe I'm 48. That's why I can't hold on to it. And I've been doing this work since I was put into foster care at 15. So, um, and I didn't always do the work at the depth I'm doing it now. This has been a long growing process through all of my grief and all of my losses. And every time I think I'm familiar with something, there's a whole new level of let me kick you in your face kind of grief. And this one, it has kicked me in my everything. So it's important to know that even if you have all the experience and you have it all figured out, when you're going through it yourself, you must have support. Whatever it looks like, healthy support. Healthy, I'm going to throw that in there. Whatever it looks like, make sure you get that healthy support. You deserve it. You want to make sure that you're able to help others. You like to be able to do that. Make sure that you allow others to do the same. It makes them feel good, just like it has you feel good when you're helping others. And on top of that, it helps something that feels so heavy, right? You have something so heavy you're carrying by yourself, and now two people come and help. It automatically lifts the pressure up off the body. It automatically takes the heavy. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's still the facts. Again, they have to be healthy. You don't want two people who have bad backs trying to help you and now their backs are blown out. And now you're standing here going, hey, now it's even heavier because you guys won't let go. You don't want that. All right. So those are just a couple of pointers that have been coming to mind that I wanted to share. And in the last few minutes, there were a couple questions that I thought were really good. So for example, how long does grief last? The interesting thing with some of this stuff, there isn't a solid answer, right? So grief lasts as long as grief is going to last for you. It also depends on, are you in the aspect of grieving and going through that process in a purely neutral way, which most people have a very hard time doing, or are you also in a lot of suffering? A lot of suffering with your thoughts, a lot of suffering around the loss, a lot of suffering in judging yourself or judging the other person, or judging yourself because you're judging the other person. Are you suffering because you don't want to let go of that experience? Are you suffering because it's tied to something that was really traumatic and you don't know how to process it? Are you suffering because you've just been taught how to handle it and you're handling it the way you know how and it's causing so much suffering? Are you suffering because of the people around you? There's so many different aspects of suffering, and we don't know we're doing it. The way you know you're doing it, you have the grief, right? And the grief feels sad. You feel the loss. On top of that, you start thinking negative things about yourself, or negative things about the loss, or negative things about your future, or any negative thinking, then you're in suffering. Additionally, sometimes it's just in your body. You think you're fine, but your body's going through this constant state of ache and pain and heavy, and there's no relief. You're in suffering. It's important that you allow yourself to be able to walk through this with someone who understands, whether it's me or someone else who understands how to walk through grief. Giving yourself that permission to learn yourself, learn what's going on. Am I in grief only, or am I also in suffering? Do I know how to step into my relationship with God, or my relationship with healthy people, or my relationship with myself, and keep myself in just the aspect of grief and out of suffering? And if the answer is I don't know, then get connected. And even if the answer is yeah, I totally know, get support in other ways. Because even deciding to do it alone is part of suffering. You may not think so, because that's how you always do it, but it still is. Because if you do anything alone, you've got the weight of all of it on you. If you do anything with other people, it's lifted up. Healthy people emphasize it's just lifted up. It's just the facts. So if you're telling yourself, nope, doing it alone is the only way I can do it, then you are also in a space of suffering. Now, it doesn't mean you can't, and it doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means it's going to take you longer, and there is going to be more aspects of suffering for you, because it's going to have to happen so much slower, and slower might be your cup of tea. I've worked with clients where we're just working on their goals. We're not talking about their grief or their suffering. We're just working on other goals. They're not ready yet, and that's okay. And we just work on little bites and little things and little thoughts and little experiences. And I just pour into them support and pour into them love. And if they want to, we also can pour into them prayers and even hypno prayer, meaning not just focusing on prayer by itself, but imagine being held by God. Imagine being spoken to by Jesus. Imagining that the Bible verses come to life as God speaking them to you and using your name, as you're imagining God work through your life and all the ways that He's promised to answer you. And that's what we do. We do that in a meditation and visualization, and that is giving yourself the aspect of also growing in your faith. So in this process of grief, grace of forgiveness, grace of love, grace of connection, grace of however long this grief lasts is okay. And you can also learn many tools that are easy and relaxing and almost like you're not even doing anything. So that way it can make the process smoother and calmer, right? If you have these ideas that I hate myself, I'm so upset, I should have done this, I should have done that, I can't believe this, I can't believe that, then let's work there. Let's work on what's going on there so we can help that. People decide, no, hating myself is part of the grieving process. Honey, no, it is not. Hating yourself is another type of grieving process because now not only are you grieving this loss, now there's a loss that you're creating in totally rejecting yourself and hating on yourself. That's a different grief. So now you're stacking your grief. You just want to emphasize that because we can have these belief systems. It's just a limiting belief habit. That's all it is. It's a coping technique that you learned that's not healthy. But it seems to be because it seems to help. But it's not. We can take a look at these things and help you to see them just like I did. Notice it without judgment. Just see it's kind of like I was coming over here and I was picking up this thing. And then I realized picking up this thing, it's actually stabbing me in the hand. Oh, okay, well then let's not pick up that thing. But I didn't realize it was stabbing me in the hand. I was just getting annoyed that when I picked up this thing, something was bothering me. Sometimes we have these thoughts and we have these emotions and we don't even notice or understand what the heck's going on. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not supposed to know all that stuff or see all that stuff. We're not built that way. We're not trained that way. But as you begin to learn it and build that, then you are built that way. It's just skills. It's just behaviors. It's not some DNA experience that you're stuck with. So give yourself that knowing, that understanding. Understand that grief does take its own time, but we can help it the whole time feel, and this may not sound like much of a relief, but feel less heavy. And to the point of sometimes where it's so heavy right now, where you feel everything weighing on you, we could lift it off totally. To where you go, you know what? I feel so much better. I feel like before I was at a 0. I feel now a 9. And so you can breathe. Now you can live your life. Now you can laugh. Now you can be in joy. and still be able to experience grief. And sometimes it may drop back down to a 5 or a 4 and it's so heavy, but now you have this new tool that as you practice, you go, oh, you know what? That got me to a 6, that got me to a 7. Oh, and then we're back together again, and you're like, yeah, that got me here. And you've been practicing and you're finding that you're doing grief and grace. So that's what I wanted to come on here today to share with you. And I just want to see if there were any other questions. I'm seeing that this was really helpful. Thank you so much. I definitely need to talk to you more. Um, this grief seems to be going on a lifetime. If you find that you're stuck with grief, again, without meaning to, you're stuck in suffering. There is something going on, and it's understandable. Giving yourself that grace to realize it's understandable, you don't know how to do it another way yet. And once you learn how to do it this other way, it's going to get better and better. And you're not going to forget the love. You're not going to forget the relationship. It doesn't mean you're not going to care. It doesn't mean any of the stuff you might have been making it mean. It means you're also able to experience grace and grief. You're able to experience life and joy and grief. And sometimes the weight of it feels like it's going to take your breath, take your life. But knowing that it's not, knowing that you're okay, knowing that these emotions are just part of it, knowing that there's not just a clearing of your mind and your thoughts and your experience, there's a clearing of your emotional response in your nervous system, an emotional experience that you've had doing things this other way. There's an emotional response, a physical response to the way it's always been, to now this new way. Please know you do not have to do this by yourself. My heart breaks to think any of you suffering for such a long period of time by yourself. Do not have to do that. So I do have a Grace in Grief program, and I also work with clients individually, and I've worked with families together. I've worked with small groups together. I've worked with small business together, and it could be a grief of, I've also worked with grief of when someone was shot and killed. I've worked with grief when one parent killed another. I've worked with grief with abuse. Now, I'm not a therapist, so I work in conjunction with your therapist. If you have a therapist, you need to have them refer to me. If you have any challenges that you need to work on that are current particular traumas or a current experience, then we will help you to find a therapist, because that's something that's needed consecutively. But if it's just something that you're working on, we talk about understanding emotions and emotional intelligence. What the heck is that even? Right? Does that mean I'm emotionally stupid? No, it just means you're emotionally unaware of certain things. You could use the word stupid, but I don't like that word. I think that's just a way to judge and criticize ourselves. Instead, it's giving yourself permission to realize you can't know everything. And if you think you can, then we've got to work on taking a look at that belief system, right? You have your job to do your thing. The other person has their job to do their thing. You guys might even be cross-trained, but you each have your positions to do what you're needing to do. Same thing is true in how you experience your thoughts and your emotions. You're not supposed to know this stuff until you learn it. So give yourself the space to know that so you can learn it and be a great student. So then you can take that information and you can teach your families. You can teach your coworkers. You can teach your community. Or you can have me come in and I can help teach all of you, whatever that looks like. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for these questions. Please continue to send them in, because if you can't attend, like those of you who asked some of the questions, then you just watch it on the replay and I can send it over to you. If you love this and you want me to send it to somebody else, just let me know and I'll get it over to them. If you love this and you want me to talk to somebody else, let me know. Who is it? What are some of the areas that they're challenged with? And then we can get on the phone with them together so they feel comfortable, because you know me and they don't. So whatever that looks like, totally. All right, guys. Any other questions that you have there, or any prayers that you would like, please put those in the comments. Thank you for that. And I do see some of you have reached out to me personally. That's awesome. So guys, thank you so much for everything that you're doing for yourself, that you're blessing into your life, that you are taking on anyway, even in the midst of any grief that you have going on. And just know that you're loved, know that you're cared for, whether you like it or not. Bring it in. Big squishy hugs. You take care of you, and make sure you reach out for that support. Get that extra help. All right, talk to you later. Bye for now.